Have you ever felt stuck in a cycle of negative thoughts that hold you back from doing what you really want? You're not alone. The way we think shapes our feelings, actions, and ultimately the life we create for ourselves. But what if you could learn to change those thoughts? What if you could train your mind to focus on what's possible instead of what's standing in your way? This video is about mastering positive thinking, not as a vague idea or a quick fix, but as a practical tool to unlock your true potential. We'll explore how simple daily habits can shift your mindset and open doors you never thought you could reach. You'll discover real ways to build confidence, handle setbacks, and take control of your life step by step. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll have clear strategies that you can start using today. These are not complicated or out of reach. They're small changes you can make that add up to powerful results. If you're ready to stop letting doubt and negativity run your life, and instead want to move forward with purpose and strength, this video will show you exactly how. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Choose a better thought and believe it fully. Everything begins with what you choose to think. The difference between a life of quiet frustration and a life of purpose and power often comes down to the thoughts you choose to believe in. You don't need a complete life overhaul to change how you feel. You don't need perfect conditions or a perfect past. You need only one thing to begin: the willingness to choose a better thought and believe it fully. Every day you're given hundreds of thoughts. Some come from your memories. Some come from fear. Some are shaped by the world around you, by people who never understood your potential, by voices that tried to limit you. But within those thoughts is a choice. You don't have to believe everything you think. And you certainly don't have to keep choosing the thoughts that hurt you, the ones that shrink you, the ones that whisper you're not enough. A better thought is always available. A thought that uplifts, expands, and encourages you to grow into the life you were meant to live. When you begin choosing a better thought, even if it feels unfamiliar or strange, you are planting the seed of a new future. You might not feel confident at first. You might not have proof that the better thought is true. But belief isn't about certainty. Belief is about commitment. It's about deciding that your current way of thinking has reached its limit, and it's time to start thinking in ways that support your growth. People often say they can't control what they think. That thoughts just show up, especially the negative ones, that might feel true, but you are never powerless. You can't always stop a thought from entering your mind, but you can choose what to do with it. You can challenge it. You can replace it. You can let it go. You can choose a thought that serves your highest self instead of the one that keeps you stuck in fear or regret or shame. Start small. When you wake up, your mind may offer you a thought like, "Today's going to be hard." Don't accept it automatically. Choose a better one. "Today is another chance to grow." Or, "I will face whatever comes with strength." You don't need to lie to yourself. You just need to reach for a thought that lifts you instead of one that drains you. A single better thought in the morning can shift the entire direction of your day. And when you choose it often enough, your brain begins to accept it as the new default. This is not about wishful thinking. It's about training your mind like a muscle. Positive thinking doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means facing reality with a stronger perspective. You're not pretending everything is good. You're deciding to bring something good into the way you respond to everything. And that starts with choosing a better thought and sticking with it until it becomes part of who you are. If you've been living with self-defeating thoughts for years, the change won't feel natural at first. That's okay. You've practiced your current thoughts so many times, they've become habits, but habits can be changed. When a negative thought shows up, pause. Ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is it true? And most importantly, is there a better thought I can believe right now? Maybe your mind says, I always mess things up. That's not a fact. That's a belief you've repeated. Now choose a better one. I've made mistakes, but I'm learning to do better. Or, I'm improving every day, even if I don't see it yet. These thoughts are realistic, kind and empowering, and they build momentum. The more you choose them, the more evidence you'll find that they're true. This is how you build belief. Belief is powerful because it shapes how you act. If you believe you're not good enough, you'll hesitate. You'll shrink. You'll avoid taking risks. But if you believe you are capable of change, you'll begin showing up with more courage. You'll make decisions that reflect your potential instead of your fear. And slowly, your life will begin to reflect those decisions. No one ever transformed their life by holding on to thoughts that weakened them. Growth begins with inner permission, and that permission starts with thought. I am allowed to change. I am allowed to believe in myself. I am allowed to think in a way that serves me. These are not fantasies, they are choices, and when you choose them consistently, they become the mental foundation for a new reality. The key is consistency. You can't choose one good thought and expect your life to shift overnight. Your brain is used to following the path of least resistance. Old thoughts will come back. Doubt will try to pull you in. But you don't have to fight those thoughts with anger or fear. Just respond with a better one. Over and over, each time you do, you are rewiring your mind to support you, not sabotage you. You can even make this into a daily practice. In the morning before your day begins, take 5 minutes to sit quietly and observe your thoughts. Notice the ones that feel heavy, critical, or limiting. Then speak out loud one better thought to replace each one. Not a perfect thought, not a fake one, just a better one. Speak it like you mean it. Then carry it with you into your day. When doubt shows up, return to that thought. Anchor yourself in it. Repeat it until your brain accepts it. This is how belief is built, through repetition and emotional truth. You can also use writing. Take a notebook and write the negative thought you often struggle with. Then write a better version next to it. Read both out loud. Notice how they feel. The negative thought might feel more familiar, but the better one feels lighter, more open, more aligned with the person you want to become. Read the better thought daily until it begins to replace the old one in your mind. Remember, your thoughts are not fixed. They are patterns, and patterns can be broken. You don't have to wait for motivation. You don't have to wait for permission. You just need to start with one small shift in the way you think and believe in that shift long enough for it to take root. When people struggle to stay positive, it's often because they expect the better thought to immediately erase their pain. That's not the goal. The goal is to face your pain with a stronger mind. A better thought won't solve every problem, but it gives you the strength to respond to your problems with clarity and self-respect. It helps you act with intention instead of reaction. It reminds you that you are not your circumstances. You are the one choosing how to move through them. Think of the moments in your life when you felt strong, when you made a brave decision, when you kept going despite fear. In those moments, a better thought was present. Maybe it said, I can do this, or this won't break me, or even, I'm not giving up. These thoughts weren't based on guarantees. They were based on inner choice. That choice is still available now. No matter what you're facing, you can return to it. You can speak it again, and each time you do, you return to your power. You are not weak because you have negative thoughts. Everyone does. You become weak only when you surrender to them without challenge. Choosing a better thought is not about denying the pain of life. It's about refusing to let that pain decide who you are. There is always something better to believe. Not because life is perfect, but because you are capable of creating a better life by the way you think. And that creation begins in the smallest moments, in the split second where you replace a thought of defeat with a thought of resilience. So start where you are. Choose one thought today that makes you feel stronger. Say it out loud. Write it down. Repeat it until it becomes familiar. When the old thought comes back, don't panic. Just return to the better one. Over and over, until belief becomes a habit, and that habit becomes your new way of being. This is how transformation begins, not in grand gestures or sudden awakenings, but in the quiet decision to think differently about yourself and your life. That one better thought, when believed fully, can set off a chain reaction. You begin to speak differently, act differently, make choices you used to avoid, and slowly your life begins to reflect the strength of your new mindset. You don't need to know everything today. You don't need to fix everything right now. All you need is to choose a better thought, and then choose it again tomorrow. Believe it with the same energy you once gave your doubts, and watch what happens when you finally give yourself permission to think in a way that builds you instead of breaking you. This is your foundation. This is your starting point. And from here, anything is possible. Chapter 2. Train your mind to focus on what works. Most people spend their lives thinking about everything that's going wrong. They replay mistakes, focus on what they lack, and dwell on what's missing. Without realizing it, they train their minds to scan for problems. Over time, this becomes a habit. It shapes how they feel, how they act, and what they expect from life. If you want to build a life that works, you have to train your mind to focus on what works. This shift in focus is not about ignoring problems. It's about strengthening your ability to grow beyond them. Your mind is constantly filtering information. Out of everything happening around you, it selects what to focus on. You can't notice everything at once, so your brain decides what's important. And what it decides is based on what you've practiced focusing on in the past. If you've spent years focusing on what's wrong, your brain has become good at finding flaws, spotting what's missing, and reinforcing fear. But the good news is your brain can change, and it changes with what you feed it every day. Start noticing what works in your life. No matter how small, your mind will resist at first, because it's used to pointing out everything that's broken. But keep looking. Maybe it's how you handled a difficult conversation better than you would have a year ago. Maybe it's the fact that you woke up early and took care of your responsibilities. Maybe it's just the quiet strength it takes to keep showing up even when things aren't easy. These things matter. These are signs that something is working, and they deserve your attention. Focusing on what works doesn't mean pretending things are perfect. It means becoming skilled at recognizing progress. When you do this, you activate parts of your brain that are responsible for clarity, decision-making, and emotional balance. You give yourself the mental tools to improve your situation rather than just react to it. People who focus on what's working are not avoiding life's challenges. They're just choosing to grow through them instead of being consumed by them. Every day, make it your job to find 3 things that are working. They don't need to be dramatic. Even small moments of progress count. Maybe you drank more water today. Maybe you said no to something that would have drained your energy. Maybe you simply got through a tough moment without giving up. Write them down. Speak them out loud. Reflect on them. These are not just feel-good exercises. They are mental strength training. And the more you practice, the more your mind begins to expect progress instead of problems. What you focus on grows. This is not a motivational slogan. It's how the human brain functions. If you constantly talk about what you can't do, you train yourself to believe in your limits. If you consistently notice what's getting better, you build trust in your ability to grow. That trust changes your actions. It shapes how you approach challenges. It gives you the confidence to take the next step even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. You don't need to force positivity. You just need to be intentional with your focus. There's a difference between lying to yourself and directing your attention. Life includes pain, loss, and failure, but it also includes recovery, learning, and growth. When you train your mind to focus on what's working, you gain the strength to face the hard parts of life without becoming them. Every time you notice what's working, you create an anchor. An anchor is something solid you can return to when the storm hits. Without these anchors, your mind will drift. You'll forget how far you've come. You'll underestimate what you've already overcome. You'll start believing that your struggle defines your story. But it doesn't. Your focus does. Train yourself to ask better questions. Instead of asking what's wrong with me, ask what's one thing I handled well today. Instead of why does this always happen to me, ask what lesson can I take from this. These questions are not about denying your pain. They are about guiding your mind towards solutions, strength and self-awareness. The questions you ask yourself every day shape the life you experience. Ask wisely. Focus isn't passive. It's a skill. You build it through repetition. You strengthen it by choosing it, even when it's easier to complain. At first you might forget. You might catch yourself slipping into frustration or fear. That's okay. Notice it, and return to what's working. Do it again and again. This repetition is what reshapes your mind. With time you'll start to naturally see what's improving, what's possible, and what's within your control. You're not pretending problems don't exist. You're just deciding that problems don't deserve all your energy. Solutions do. Progress does. Growth does. And when you give your focus to these things, they begin to multiply. You begin to build momentum. You start taking action from a place of strength instead of panic, and that changes the quality of your life. Sometimes what's working is invisible to others. It might be an internal shift, a calmer response, a clearer thought, a more honest decision. Celebrate those moments. They are signs that you're becoming the kind of person who doesn't just survive but evolves. Don't wait for someone else to validate your progress. Notice it yourself. Recognize it. Use it as fuel to keep going. Comparison will try to steal your focus. The world will always offer you a reason to feel behind. But what's working in your life is personal. It's not measured by someone else's timeline. Stay in your lane. Pay attention to your own steps. What matters most is not how fast you move, but how consistently you keep moving in the right direction. Even in the middle of setbacks, something is still working. Maybe it's the lesson you're learning. Maybe it's the resilience you're building. Maybe it's the clarity you've gained about what truly matters. Don't overlook these gifts just because they don't come wrapped in comfort. Growth often disguises itself as difficulty. But if you've trained your mind to look closely, you'll see the value in every season. You don't rise by obsessing over what's broken. You rise by noticing what's getting stronger, by valuing the habits that support your well-being, by appreciating the moments where you kept your word to yourself. These are signs of success, and success begins on the inside, long before it shows up on the outside. Retrain your mind every morning. Before the day takes over, decide where your attention will go. Choose 3 things to be grateful for. 3 things that are improving. 3 ways you will support your own growth. Write them down. Review them often. This is not extra work. It's the foundation of all progress. Your mind will want to drift back to what's familiar, especially when you're tired, stressed, or afraid. But you have a choice. Every time your attention slips into what's wrong, gently bring it back to what's right. That choice, made over and over again, becomes a habit. That habit becomes a mindset. And that mindset becomes a life that works. You are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are the one training them. And the way you train them is through daily attention, consistent direction, and intentional focus. Look at your life with eyes that see potential, not just problems. Speak to yourself with words that reflect your strength, not just your struggles. Act with awareness of what's growing, not just what's missing. This is how you begin to change the quality of your life, not by wishing for something new, but by seeing what's already working and building on it. Every day, every choice, every thought is an opportunity to focus on what makes you stronger. And when you train your mind to live from that place, you no longer chase positivity, you become it. Chapter 3. Replace self-doubt by building daily confidence rituals. Self-doubt doesn't arrive loudly. It creeps in quietly, showing up in the space between your decisions and your actions. It questions your value when no one else is watching. It keeps you second-guessing even when you've done the work. And if you let it, it will shape your identity without you realizing it. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you train. It grows with practice, and that practice must be daily. If you want to rise above self-doubt, you have to replace it with rituals that reinforce who you are and who you're becoming. You can't think your way out of self-doubt. You have to act your way through it. Your mind will offer reasons why you're not ready, not enough, or not capable. But you don't need to wait for your mind to agree with your goals. What you need is structure. A series of small, consistent actions that remind you of your strength and help you build proof. Every day you are either building evidence for your doubt or building evidence for your belief. What you do regularly is what shapes your identity. And your identity determines what you allow yourself to attempt. Start with the first hour of your day. The way you begin your morning sets the tone for how you feel, what you notice, and how you respond. If your first thoughts are scattered, rushed, or reactive, your mind will follow that rhythm for the rest of the day. But if you build a clear morning ritual, you create structure. That structure builds stability, and stability breeds confidence. Begin with one act that anchors you. It can be movement, reflection, or reading something that strengthens your mindset. Choose something simple and make it non-negotiable. Confidence grows when you keep promises to yourself. They don't need to be big promises. They just need to be consistent. When you say you'll wake up early, do it. When you decide to walk for 10 minutes, show up. When you commit to 5 minutes of reflection, sit down and be present. The power isn't in the action, it's in the fact that you followed through. The more you keep your word, the more your mind learns that you can be trusted. And trust is the foundation of real confidence. Speak to yourself with clarity. The voice in your head has power. If you repeat vague doubts, your mind will fill in the blanks with fear. But if you replace those vague doubts with clear, strong reminders, you give yourself direction. You don't need to hype yourself up with empty phrases. You just need to affirm what you're working toward and why it matters. Say it out loud. Write it down. Reinforce it daily. Your brain believes what it hears most often, especially from you. Another essential ritual is movement. Physical activity changes your mental state. It interrupts anxiety, builds energy, and improves focus. You don't need to run a marathon. You just need to move your body in a way that feels challenging and intentional. This movement tells your brain that you're active, capable, and alive. When you feel physically strong, your mind begins to mirror that strength. And when you move with purpose, you remember what it feels like to be in control. Track your progress. Self-doubt grows when you forget how far you've come. Confidence grows when you see the steps you've taken. Keep a simple record of your wins, no matter how small. Each day, write down what you did well. Note the habits you followed, the situations you handled, and the decisions you made with integrity. This is not about perfection, it's about visibility. Seeing your progress builds momentum, and momentum is what carries you through. Moments when doubt tries to return. Limit comparisons. You don't build confidence by measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel. You build it by being present with your own process. When your attention is always outward, you lose sight of your own growth. Bring your focus back to your journey. No one else knows the weight you've carried or the courage it took to take the next step. Stay rooted in your effort. That's what gives you the kind of confidence that doesn't rely on applause. Prepare daily for the challenges you know will test you. If there's a situation that often triggers your doubt, whether it's speaking up, making a decision, or facing a setback, rehearse how you'll respond. Visualize yourself staying calm, grounded, and clear. Walk through the scenario in your mind and see yourself responding with strength. This is not daydreaming. It's training. It's teaching your brain what to expect and how to respond. And the more you train, the less you react out of fear. Confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself. It simply shows up, and it shows up more often when you've created a rhythm of self-respect. If you're waiting to feel confident before you take action, you'll stay stuck. But if you act with discipline, even when doubt is loud, you'll build the kind of confidence that lasts. And with time, that confidence becomes your new normal. Another ritual that builds inner strength is reflecting without judgment. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to review your actions. What did you do that aligned with your values? What would you do differently next time? How can you adjust tomorrow to stay on track? This is not a time to criticize yourself. It's a time to learn. Growth is not about getting everything right. It's about staying honest and committed. Self-awareness leads to self-respect, and self-respect leads to confidence. Build boundaries around your energy. Doubt grows in chaos. Confidence grows in clarity. Create a structure for your day that supports focus, recovery, and intention. Say no to distractions. Say no to people who constantly tear you down or feed your fear. Protect your space. Protect your energy. Protect your time. These boundaries are not selfish, they are necessary. You cannot build confidence in an environment that constantly pulls you away from your values. Talk less about what you can't do and more about what you're willing to work on. The words you speak reinforce your beliefs. If you're always saying, "I'm not good at this," you are building a case for your limits. Instead, say, "I'm improving in this area." Say, "I'm showing up today with effort." These words guide your actions, they create a path forward, and they teach your brain that you are not defined by your current skill, but by your willingness to grow. Surround yourself with reminders of your strength. Keep photos, quotes, or symbols of past victories where you can see them. These are not decorations, they are evidence. When doubt tries to convince you that you're not capable, this evidence reminds you of who you are. Let your environment support your confidence. Let your surroundings reflect the identity you are building. Self-doubt is not something you eliminate once. It's something you outgrow over time. And the way you outgrow it is by showing up every day with intention, with action, with rituals that reinforce who you are becoming. The goal is not to feel confident every moment. The goal is to train your mind and body to keep moving even when confidence wavers. Because confidence is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward anyway. Your rituals are your foundation. They shape how you think, how you feel, and how you act. Replace self-doubt by building rituals that lift you up. Be deliberate, be consistent, be patient. Each day build the evidence that you are strong, capable, and worthy. With time, your identity will shift, and what once felt impossible will begin to feel like the next natural step. Chapter 4. Practice gratitude until it becomes your foundation. Most people move through life focused on what's missing, what they don't have yet, what hasn't worked, what went wrong, who didn't show up. This kind of thinking seems practical, even protective, like scanning the world for danger to prepare for it. But living that way slowly drains your spirit. It teaches your mind to expect disappointment. It creates a lens that filters out what's right in front of you. Gratitude is not about ignoring problems. It's about refusing to let problems be the only thing you see. To build anything strong, whether it's peace, joy, or resilience, you need a foundation. Gratitude is that foundation. Not because it makes life perfect, but because it anchors you in what is real, what is present, and what is working. Without gratitude, you chase one thing after another, always feeling like something's missing. With it, you become deeply aware of how much you already have. And from that place you make better choices, see more clearly, and act more intentionally. Gratitude is not an emotion you wait to feel. It's a decision you practice. It's the mental discipline of noticing. Noticing the warmth in your hands, the steadiness of your breath, the food on your plate, the voice of someone you love. You don't need a reason to be grateful. You need awareness. Gratitude doesn't require a grand event. It shows up in the ordinary moments when you're awake enough to recognize them. Most people think of gratitude as a reaction, something you feel after something good happens. But the truth is, gratitude works best when you use it as a lens, not a response. Train your mind to search for what's meaningful in your day. When you wake up, notice what's working. When you eat, notice how it nourishes you. When you move, notice what your body can still do. When you speak, notice the gift of being heard. You're not waiting for life to be perfect. You're acknowledging that even when it's hard, there are still pieces of good to hold on to. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means not letting pain blind you to everything else. Life is never all good or all bad. It's always both. Gratitude helps you hold both at once. It gives you the strength to face difficulty without losing sight of what still gives you life. When you're hurt, you can still be grateful for the person who listens. When you're exhausted, you can still be thankful for a place to rest. Gratitude doesn't erase the hard parts. It gives you the courage to move through them without being consumed. A powerful way to make gratitude part of your foundation is to create a consistent daily practice. Begin and end your day with reflection. In the morning, take 1 minute to acknowledge what you're looking forward to, or what you're thankful is already present. At night, take another minute to remember what went well, no matter how small. This trains your brain to scan for good, not just for problems. And over time, your mind becomes more balanced, more steady, more resilient. Gratitude becomes transformational when you bring it into your conversations. Tell people what you appreciate about them. Speak out loud what you're thankful for. When you express gratitude, you make it real, not just for you but for others too. This builds stronger relationships, softens conflict, and creates a sense of shared humanity. People feel seen when they're appreciated, and when you make that a habit, you shift the entire emotional atmosphere around you. Your thoughts become clearer when you ground them in gratitude. It's easy to spiral into worry, frustration, or anger when your focus is only on what's wrong. But when you remind yourself of what's still good, you create space to think. This isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about expanding your perspective so you don't drown in a narrow view. Gratitude widens your lens. It helps you see the full picture, and when you see more clearly, you choose more wisely. There is also a physical shift that happens when gratitude becomes a daily discipline. Your breathing slows, your muscles release, your nervous system calms. Gratitude is not just a mindset, it's a state of being that changes your entire experience of the moment. When you truly feel grateful, your body remembers safety, it remembers connection, and that changes how you show up in every situation. If you want to make gratitude your foundation, remove the conditions. Don't tie your thankfulness to outcomes. Don't wait for life to go your way. Be grateful because life exists in this moment, and this moment holds something valuable. Maybe it's the lesson in the mistake. Maybe it's the stillness after a storm. Maybe it's just the simple act of breathing. You don't need everything to be perfect to be grateful. You just need to pay attention to what's already here. As you practice this, you'll begin to notice a shift. You'll react differently to stress. You'll become more patient with yourself and others. You'll find joy in smaller things. You'll stop needing constant achievement to feel good about your life. And when setbacks come, and they always do, you'll bounce back faster. Not because you're avoiding pain, but because your roots are deep. And those roots are built through repeated moments of awareness, appreciation, and presence. Gratitude also helps you stay aligned with what matters. In a world full of distraction and noise, it's easy to chase things that don't bring real meaning. But when you regularly reflect on what you're thankful for, you begin to see patterns. You see what actually fulfills you. You recognize which relationships nourish you. You notice which activities energize you, and that clarity guides your priorities. It helps you stop chasing what doesn't matter and start investing more deeply in what does. This kind of life doesn't happen by accident. It happens through daily decision, through choosing to focus on what's working, through noticing what's still good, even when everything isn't perfect, through returning your attention again and again to the parts of life that keep you steady, grounded, and full. It's not always easy. Some days the weight of everything wrong might feel heavier than usual. On those days, don't force joy. Just look for one thing, one moment, one small piece of stillness, comfort, or beauty. Write it down. Hold it close. Even one thread of gratitude can hold you together when everything else feels frayed. Over time, gratitude stops being something you try to remember and becomes something you are. It shapes how you speak, how you move, how you relate. It builds a deep inner strength that doesn't rely on circumstances. It gives you peace that isn't shaken by every storm. And it reminds you that even when the world feels uncertain, there is still solid ground beneath your feet. That solid ground is built through repetition, not in grand declarations, but in small, steady acknowledgements, over and over again, until your brain, your body, and your spirit begin to recognize the truth. There is beauty here. There is value here. There is enough here. Practice gratitude until it becomes the way you see, the way you think, the way you live. Not just when things are good, but especially when they're not. Because the strength you're looking for begins not in changing the world around you, but in changing how you receive it. Gratitude is that change. And when it becomes your foundation, everything else you build will have deeper roots. Chapter 5. Silence Negativity by Speaking Empowering Truths Daily. Every day, you carry a voice in your mind that shapes how you see yourself and how you move through the world. Sometimes that voice is calm, supportive, and focused, but other times it turns critical, doubtful, and harsh. That voice doesn't come from nowhere. It's been shaped by years of experience, pain, fear, and repeated patterns of thought. When left unchecked, it begins to dominate your internal world, feeding you stories that keep you small, afraid, or uncertain. Negativity doesn't always scream. It often whispers quietly, feeding doubt in the background of your thinking. The way to silence that voice isn't to fight it with more negativity. It's to rise above it with a stronger, more truthful voice, one that empowers instead of weakens, one that lifts instead of drags down. You don't overcome a negative mind by trying to shut it up with force. You shift it by choosing which voice you amplify. The mind will believe what it hears most consistently. That's not about lying to yourself or pretending everything is fine. It's about deliberately speaking the truth that makes you stronger. Truth is powerful, but only when it's spoken. If you only think it occasionally, it gets drowned out. But when you say it, and say it daily, it begins to break through. It becomes the new sound that echoes in your head when life gets heavy. Empowering truths have to be used like tools, picked up, practiced, and spoken until they become familiar. If you wake up, and the first thought you hear is "I'm not ready," that sets the tone for everything. If you look in the mirror and silently repeat "I'm not enough," that becomes your energy. If you step into a situation already thinking "I can't handle this," your body tightens, your breath shortens, and your spirit shrinks. But when you learn to respond to those moments with words that remind you of your strength, the energy shifts. You reclaim space inside yourself. You move from reaction to intention. Speaking empowering truths is not about creating motivational slogans. It's about identifying the most grounded, honest, and useful belief you can hold and giving it a voice. It's about saying, out loud, what actually helps you move forward. Maybe it's "I've made it through worse." Maybe it's "I have the power to choose my response." Maybe it's "My peace matters more than their opinion." These aren't empty phrases, they are reminders of your agency. And when repeated consistently, they become the default thoughts that show up when things get hard. Consistency is where change happens. You can't speak an empowering truth once and expect your entire mindset to transform. You have to build the habit. That means setting time aside every day, even if it's just 2 minutes, to declare your values, your worth, and your direction. Some people do this in the mirror. Some write it in a journal. Some speak it while walking. What matters is that you engage with the words actively. You're not just reciting, you're reclaiming your attention. You're deciding what gets to grow in your mental space. This practice has a compounding effect. At first it might feel uncomfortable or even unnatural. That's only because your mind is used to hearing something else. But over time, you'll notice your reactions begin to shift. You won't spiral so quickly. You'll recover faster from criticism. You'll find yourself responding with more clarity and less fear. That's not because the challenges disappeared. It's because your inner dialogue changed. And that change creates a stronger foundation for every decision you make. The people around you may not notice the exact words you speak to yourself each day, but they will notice the energy you carry. They'll notice the way you hold yourself, the way you respond under pressure, the way you treat others. Empowering truths don't just change your thinking, they change your presence. And when you lead with a calm and grounded presence, you influence the spaces you're in without needing to control them. This practice also makes you more immune to external negativity. When someone throws judgment your way, you're less likely to absorb it. Why? Because your internal voice has already spoken the truth. You don't need to argue, you don't need to defend. You simply return to what you know is true about yourself, and you keep moving. That kind of confidence can't be faked. It's built through repetition, through conscious thought, through choosing your words every day with care and conviction. When you build this practice, you also become more compassionate with yourself. You stop tearing yourself apart for small mistakes. You stop feeding the idea that you're failing just because something went wrong. You begin to respond to yourself with the same tone you'd use with someone you love, firm but kind, honest but encouraging. That internal shift creates emotional stability. You're not tossed around by every wave. You start to trust yourself. There will be days when negativity feels louder than usual, days when fear creeps in or doubt clouds your vision. Those are the days when the practice matters most. Don't wait for the motivation to show up. Speak the words anyway. Even if your voice shakes, even if you don't fully believe them yet, speak them because they are the path forward. The voice of truth gets stronger every time you choose it over the voice of fear. You also begin to recognize the patterns. You notice which situations trigger the negative voice. You become more aware of what environments pull you down or what kind of self-talk leads to spirals. That awareness allows you to prepare, to have your empowering truths ready when you step into those spaces, to remind yourself of your values before the noise starts. That preparation is what turns the practice into a way of life. Eventually, this becomes less about silencing negativity and more about outgrowing it. You stop fighting the old voice and simply stop feeding it. You build something stronger in its place. A voice that knows your worth without arrogance, a tone that holds you accountable without shame, a perspective that moves forward without fear. That's not a fantasy. That's the real power of repeated, intentional, empowering words. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to choose what you will speak to yourself today. Choose the truth that lifts you. Choose the belief that opens space. Choose the words that remind you who you are when life gets heavy. And say them, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's not. That's where strength grows. That's how negativity fades. That's how you rise. Chapter 6. Build emotional strength through challenge and reflection. Emotional strength is not something you're born with. It's something you earn through lived experience, deliberate effort, and deep self-awareness. It's built quietly, often in the background, when life tests your patience, stretches your limits, or disrupts your plans. It doesn't show up all at once or announce itself loudly. It grows gradually as you choose how to respond to the moments that once used to break you. And if you allow it, every challenge you face can either add to your strength or subtract from your peace. It all depends on how you process it and what you take from it. Life doesn't ask for permission before sending adversity. There is no schedule for difficulty, no warning when something or someone will demand more from you than you think you have. But that's exactly where emotional resilience begins, not when everything is going smoothly, but when you are forced to find a deeper part of yourself to endure and keep moving. And while pain, loss, rejection, and uncertainty are universal, how you use them is deeply personal. Some people shrink under pressure, others reflect, adapt, and emerge with more clarity. The difference is not found in what happens, it's found in how you engage with it afterward. The temptation is always to rush past hard moments, to distract yourself, to pretend they don't matter, to bury the discomfort with noise or blame. But the growth you're looking for is buried inside the very pain you want to avoid. That discomfort isn't there to punish you. It's there to show you where you haven't yet built the capacity to carry what matters most. It reveals the parts of yourself that still need understanding, discipline, or healing. And if you can slow down and reflect on what the moment is asking from you, you stop repeating the same patterns that keep you stuck. You don't need to fear struggle when you see it as a mirror. Every difficult emotion is showing you something. Anger shows you where your boundaries are being crossed. Sadness shows you what you valued and possibly lost. Frustration reveals where your expectations and reality are clashing. These emotions don't have to control you. They can guide you if you're willing to listen. The process of reflection is not complicated, but it does require honesty. You have to ask questions that reveal, not conceal. What did this situation teach me about myself? What assumptions did I carry into this experience? What did I avoid feeling, and why? What part of me needs to be strengthened so I'm not shaken next time? The goal is not to become emotionless, it's to become more emotionally stable. That means having the capacity to feel deeply without being overwhelmed. It means staying centered when the world around you is chaotic. And that only comes through repeated practice, putting yourself in situations that stretch you, then processing them deliberately, thoughtfully, and with care. You become emotionally strong, not by avoiding pain, but by learning how to stay present through it, and come out the other side clearer and wiser than before. A practical way to build this kind of strength is to embrace discomfort intentionally. You don't have to wait for life to push you. You can begin by doing things that challenge your emotional habits. If you avoid confrontation, practice speaking up with clarity and calmness. If you tend to overreact, train yourself to pause and breathe before responding. If you often seek validation, take time to affirm your own decisions without needing approval. These moments may seem small, but they build powerful emotional habits, and over time they become the default way you show up, even in much bigger moments. But challenge alone isn't enough. Without reflection, hardship becomes just another weight. You must pair action with introspection. Create space to sit with your experiences. Write about what shook you and why. Think about what you've learned from setbacks, not just about the world, but about your reactions. Pay attention to how your emotions move through your body, where they get stuck, and what helps them shift. Emotional strength is not just built by getting through things. It's built by understanding what those things did to you and what you did with them in return. You must also be careful with what you tell yourself in moments of challenge. The mind is quick to turn pain into identity. If you're not careful, you'll begin to think of yourself as someone who is broken, weak, or unlucky, simply because you've suffered. That's a lie. Struggle is not your identity, it is your training ground. Speak to yourself with clarity and self-respect. Remind yourself that strength is being built, even when it's not visible yet. Remind yourself that it's okay to not have it all figured out, and that discomfort is not a failure, it's a signal that something important is being stretched. Another key piece of emotional strength is responsibility. Not everything that happens is your fault, but everything that happens within you is your responsibility. You may not control the trigger, but you do control your reaction. That ownership is liberating. It means you're not a victim to your moods or your history. You can choose your response. You can build new habits. You can create space between stimulus and reaction. That doesn't mean suppressing how you feel. It means managing it in a way that supports your long-term peace and progress. Emotional strength also thrives in stillness. Modern life is loud and fast, and it teaches you to escape from yourself constantly. But real growth comes in silence. When you sit with your thoughts and feelings without judgment, you build internal clarity. You start to recognize the patterns that keep repeating, and you gain the ability to disrupt them. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding deliberately. Stillness is not a luxury. It's a necessity for emotional mastery. Even 5 minutes a day spent in reflection can recalibrate your inner world. In time, you begin to trust yourself more. You stop fearing hard days because you know you can handle them. You stop avoiding conflict because you've learned how to stay calm in tension. You stop carrying the weight of every opinion because you've defined your own values. That's what emotional strength looks like. Not perfection, but resilience. Not control, but balance. Not detachment, but presence with boundaries. This is not a path with a finish line. You don't wake up one day emotionally unshakable. You simply become more capable, more grounded, more prepared. And the beautiful part is that this strength compounds. Each time you reflect on a challenge and grow from it, the next one feels a little less daunting. Each insight builds on the last. And eventually, what used to shake you becomes a place of stillness. What used to scare you becomes a source of confidence. Emotional strength is quiet, but it transforms everything. It allows you to hold your power in uncomfortable moments. It helps you forgive without forgetting who you are. It teaches you to face difficulty with open eyes and steady breath. And it starts with a decision to not let life harden you, but to let it refine you. A decision to learn from what hurts. A decision to stay in the work, even when it's uncomfortable. Because the more you grow through what challenges you, the more unshakable you become in the face of everything else. Chapter 7. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. The people you allow into your life shape your inner world more than you often realize. Their words echo in your thoughts. Their energy spills into your mood. Their habits influence your direction. If you're not deliberate about who you let close, you'll end up carrying burdens that aren't yours, believing limitations that aren't real, and shrinking your voice to fit environments that never deserved you. Uplifting people don't just make you feel good. They remind you of who you are when you forget. They challenge you without crushing your spirit. They celebrate your growth without feeling threatened. And perhaps most importantly, they believe in your potential even when you're doubting yourself. That kind of support isn't accidental. It's intentional. And if you want to build a life rooted in strength and peace, choosing your circle wisely is not optional. There's a certain kind of power that comes from being seen and heard by people who genuinely want to see you win. These are the people who don't compete with you. They don't need you to stay small so they can feel big. They aren't silently hoping you fail, so they feel more secure. They're rooting for you even when they're dealing with their own storms. They ask how you're really doing, and wait for the honest answer. They see past your mask and gently remind you that you're more than your mistakes. When you surround yourself with people like this, you grow faster, not because they solve your problems, but because they help you stay aligned with your best self when you're tempted to give up. You've probably experienced the other side too, the subtle drain of spending time with those who constantly judge, belittle, or dismiss your progress. The people who never listen but always want to be heard. The ones who keep you stuck in old stories or remind you of every failure. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes the damage is quiet. It's the sarcastic remarks, the fake support, the unspoken competition. Over time, those dynamics chip away at your confidence, cloud your thinking, and blur your boundaries. And if you're not careful, you start adapting to dysfunction. You begin lowering your standards just to avoid being alone. But there's nothing lonelier than being surrounded by people who don't truly value you. That's why it's better to have a small circle of real connection than a crowd full of empty noise. You don't need perfect people. You need people who are real, people who are doing the work on themselves, people who take accountability, not just give advice, people who can hold space for your joy and your pain without making it about them. When you're with someone like that, you don't have to perform. You don't have to pretend to be stronger than you are. You don't have to edit yourself to fit in. You can show up fully, messy, honest in process, and still feel worthy. That kind of environment is rare, but it's worth protecting. It's what allows healing to take place, creativity to flourish, and purpose to take root. There is also a quiet strength in being that person for others. When you model authenticity, you give others permission to do the same. When you listen without trying to fix, you build trust. When you uplift without expecting anything in return, you create safety. It's not about being someone's savior. It's about being someone who shows up with intention and integrity. And the more you offer that energy, the more you attract it in return. You become a magnet for people who are also seeking clarity, growth, and mutual respect. That's when connection deepens. That's when the people around you become a source of inspiration instead of stress. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel lighter or heavier? Do you feel more focused or more scattered? Do you feel supported or dismissed? Your body always knows when you're out of alignment. Your energy doesn't lie. You don't need to justify your discomfort just because someone has been in your life for a long time. History doesn't equal harmony. Some relationships are meant for a season. Some people are meant to teach you, not travel with you forever. Letting go doesn't mean you're cruel. It means you've learned to honor your peace. Sometimes, elevating your circle starts with elevating yourself. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you constantly criticize yourself, you'll attract others who do the same. If you dim your light, you'll attract those who expect you to stay small. But if you carry yourself with quiet self-respect, if you set clear boundaries and stay consistent, you naturally filter out what doesn't belong. The right people will recognize your growth and match it. The wrong ones will resist and eventually remove themselves. Either way, you win. Don't confuse solitude with failure. Sometimes, the space between letting go of the wrong people and attracting the right ones feels empty. It can be uncomfortable to walk away from what's familiar, even when it's harmful. But that space is sacred. It's where you learn how to be your own support. It's where you rediscover your values, refine your voice, and rebuild your sense of worth without external validation. When you're no longer desperate to be liked, you stop settling for surface-level connections. You begin attracting those who resonate with your truth, not just your image. In the right environment, you don't have to explain your worth. You don't have to shrink your joy to make others comfortable. You don't have to hide your ambition out of fear of judgment. The right people challenge you with love, not ego. They encourage your growth without trying to control it. They see your flaws but don't weaponize them. They speak life into you when you're low and celebrate you without envy when you rise. And when you find these people, hold them close. Relationships like this aren't built overnight. They're nurtured through consistency, honesty, and mutual effort. It's also important to recognize that some people in your life may not understand your growth, not because they're bad, but because they're on a different path. You don't need to force understanding. You just need to stay true to your direction. Some connections will catch up with you later. Others will fade naturally. Keep moving anyway, Keep refining your standards. Keep being intentional about the energy you allow near you, because your mental health, your emotional clarity, and your future depend on it. You are not meant to carry everything alone. You are not meant to live in environments that constantly drain you. You are not meant to stay in relationships that keep you doubting your value. You deserve connection that uplifts, conversations that expand and support, that's rooted in love, not obligation. The people you walk with can either weigh you down or lift you higher. Choose wisely and build your life around those who bring out the strongest, clearest, and most peaceful version of you. Chapter 8. Create small wins to build unstoppable momentum. Every day presents an opportunity to take control of your direction, but the change you want doesn't begin with a massive leap. It begins with a small step that proves to your mind that you're not stuck. That first win might seem insignificant to others, but to you, it's a declaration. You're not giving up, and you're not waiting for the perfect conditions to move forward. You're starting now, even if it's messy, even if it's quiet, even if no one notices. Small wins are the bricks that build a solid foundation. They don't feel glamorous, but they're what separate dreamers from doers. They turn hope into action, and turn action into evidence. That's how momentum starts, not with noise but with movement. When you give yourself a small target and actually follow through, something powerful happens. Your confidence expands because you've proven to yourself that you can be trusted. That shift in self-trust is everything. You no longer need external motivation to keep going because you've created your own fuel. And the more you repeat this process, the less you rely on willpower alone. It becomes easier, not because the task is easier, but because you've changed the way you see yourself. Instead of chasing perfection, you begin prioritizing consistency. Instead of waiting to feel inspired, you start acting your way into inspiration. So many people stay stuck, not because they lack talent, but because they're trapped in all-or-nothing thinking. They believe that if they can't accomplish everything today, there's no point in doing anything. That mindset is the fastest way to kill progress. Progress is not about intensity, it's about sustainability. One tiny win leads to another, and before you know it, you've changed more than just your habits. You've changed your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone trying. You begin seeing yourself as someone becoming. And that quiet transformation is what builds a life of real strength. You don't need to wait for the perfect plan. You need to commit to imperfect action. You don't have to figure everything out. You just have to figure out your next step. Sometimes, that's drinking a glass of water instead of grabbing junk food. Sometimes, it's making your bed before checking your phone. Sometimes, it's writing a single paragraph, going for a short walk, making one call, or turning off the TV 5 minutes earlier. These actions seem minor in the moment, but they're not about the task. They're about reinforcing your direction. They're about proving to yourself that you are no longer at the mercy of your old patterns. Small wins build emotional momentum because they give you something to stand on. When life feels uncertain, you can look back and say, I've been showing up, I've been making progress, I've been changing, even when no one was watching. That kind of inner validation is far more powerful than waiting for someone else to cheer you on. If you keep feeding yourself small victories, you'll reach a point where giving up no longer feels natural. Why? Because you've built a rhythm. And rhythm is what carries you through the days when motivation isn't enough. Momentum isn't about speed, it's about direction. Even if you're moving slowly, if you're moving in the right direction, you are gaining ground. One of the biggest lies we're told is that growth has to be dramatic to matter. But look at nature. Look at how the tallest trees begin with invisible roots. Look at how a river carves through rock, not by force but by persistence. Real power is quiet. Real power is patient. When you create a habit of winning your mornings, completing your tasks, showing up even when it's inconvenient, you're building something stronger than hype. You're building discipline, and discipline over time becomes freedom. Don't underestimate the mental shift that comes from simply finishing what you start. Every time you complete a task you once avoided, you take power back from procrastination. Every time you stick to a promise you made to yourself, you weaken the voice of doubt. And every time you pause to recognize your effort, no matter how small, you strengthen the connection between effort and reward. That's what most people miss. They wait to celebrate until the goal is done. But if you only acknowledge the finish line, you'll miss the power of the steps that got you there. Celebrate the step. Validate the process. That's how you keep going even when the goal still feels far away. Your life doesn't change in a single decision. It changes in a series of repeated decisions. Waking up when you said you would. Taking care of your health even when you don't feel like it. Choosing a productive action instead of numbing out. Each time you do this, you prove to yourself that you're not defined by your past. You're not stuck in your old identity. You're not waiting to be rescued. You are rescuing yourself, one choice at a time. And the more you do this, the more you rise. The more you rise, the more momentum you create. And momentum isn't just about reaching goals. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't abandon themselves when things get hard. Some days, your win might be simply showing up. Other days, it might be saying no to something that drains you. There's no single formula. What matters is that you keep building forward. You keep stacking your progress. You keep proving to yourself that you are not powerless. That's the beauty of small wins. They put you back in the driver's seat. And once you get a taste of what it feels like to follow through on your own terms, you'll stop waiting for motivation. You'll start moving because it feels like the natural next step. There's nothing magical about momentum. It's just the result of repeated, intentional action. It's built by doing what you said you'd do, long after the excitement fades. It's built by choosing growth over comfort, clarity over chaos, discipline over impulse. It's built when you stop making excuses and start making moves. And once you start, it's easier to keep going. That's the secret. Start small. Start now. Then keep showing up until your progress becomes your new normal. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You just need to prove to yourself, today, that you can follow through. Then prove it again tomorrow. And again the next day. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Because once you start stacking those wins, your mind changes. Your energy changes. Your future changes. The path ahead gets clearer, not because the road got easier, but because you got stronger. Keep building, keep moving, and let your momentum speak louder than your fears. Chapter 9. Turn every failure into a powerful growth lesson. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is an essential part of the journey toward it. To embrace failure as a powerful growth lesson means to shift the way you see setbacks, not as dead ends, but as crucial stepping stones. Each time something doesn't go as planned, there is an opportunity hidden beneath the surface. This opportunity is rarely comfortable or obvious at first. It asks you to pause, reflect, and search deeper within. Instead of letting failure break you, let it shape you. When failure strikes, the natural impulse is often to retreat, to feel ashamed or defeated. But resilience grows when you refuse to let disappointment define your story. The power lies in how you respond. Ask yourself, What is this experience teaching me? What can I do differently next time? Failure forces you to look honestly at your approach, your habits, your mindset. It strips away illusions and reveals where growth is needed. This clarity, although uncomfortable, is a gift. It is the raw material for improvement. Learning from failure requires a conscious mindset. It means stepping away from blame, whether directed at yourself or others, and focusing on responsibility. Responsibility is empowering because it places control back in your hands. Instead of being a passive victim of circumstance, you become an active agent in your own transformation. Every misstep is a message, an invitation to adjust your course. Without this shift, failure becomes a weight that drags you down. With it, failure becomes the fuel that propels you forward. To turn failure into growth. Cultivate curiosity. Ask questions that dig beneath the surface. Why didn't this work? What part of my process was flawed? What did I overlook? What strengths can I build on moving forward? The answers to these questions guide you toward constructive change. They prevent you from repeating the same mistakes and open the door to innovation. When you approach failure with curiosity rather than fear, you train your mind to see challenges as opportunities for insight rather than threats. Reflection is the bridge between failure and growth. Set aside time regularly to review your experiences, both successes and setbacks. Journaling can be a powerful tool here. Writing down what happened, how you felt, and what you learned crystallizes understanding. It transforms abstract emotions into tangible lessons. Reflection also keeps you grounded in progress. It reveals patterns in your behavior, highlights areas for improvement, and reinforces your commitment to growth. Without reflection, failure risks becoming a cycle of frustration. Another important aspect is embracing humility. Failure reminds you that you are human, imperfect, and always learning. This humility doesn't diminish your worth. It enhances your capacity for growth. It opens you up to feedback and new perspectives. It allows you to accept help and to revise your goals realistically. Pride often blocks growth by keeping you stuck in defensive patterns. Humility breaks those barriers and creates space for genuine transformation. The emotional response to failure is significant and must be acknowledged. Feelings like disappointment, frustration, and self-doubt are natural. Denying these emotions or rushing past them only prolongs their impact. Instead, accept your feelings with kindness, then consciously choose not to let them dictate your future actions. Emotional strength is not about avoiding pain, but about holding it with steady resolve and using it as motivation. This balance between feeling and action is where true growth takes root. It's also vital to develop patience during this process. Growth is rarely immediate. Lessons from failure often unfold over time. Sometimes you won't see the benefit until weeks, months, or even years later. Holding on to long-term vision keeps you from giving up when progress seems slow. Remember that mastery and success are built on countless small adjustments and repeated efforts. Each failure you endure is a necessary part of your evolution, even if it doesn't feel like it at the moment. Resilience is built by consistently returning to the task after setbacks. This persistence communicates to your subconscious mind that failure is temporary, not permanent. It teaches you that giving up is a choice, not an inevitability. The more you practice bouncing back, the stronger your mental muscles become. Over time, you stop fearing failure because you know it is just a step in your process. This knowledge frees you to take risks, innovate, and push beyond comfort zones. Without risk, growth stalls. A practical way to harness failure is to set a mindset of experimentation. View your efforts as trials rather than final judgments. When you experiment, failure is a natural part of learning rather than a reflection of your identity. This removes pressure and opens creativity. It encourages you to try new strategies, iterate quickly, and adapt without fear. Experimentation also helps you discover what truly works for you, rather than blindly following others' paths or outdated methods. Sharing your failures with others can deepen the learning experience. Talking openly about your setbacks humanizes your journey and builds connection. It also invites support, advice, and accountability. Hearing others' stories of failure and recovery reminds you that you are not alone and that success is rarely a straight line. Vulnerability in this context becomes a source of strength. It breaks down isolation and encourages growth through shared wisdom. A mindset that transforms failure into growth also emphasizes gratitude. This may seem counterintuitive at first, but being thankful for your challenges shifts your focus from loss to opportunity. Gratitude for the lessons embedded in failure reinforces positive thinking and resilience. It keeps your energy focused on solutions and possibilities instead of regrets and what-ifs. This subtle shift in attitude can dramatically change how you experience setbacks and how quickly you recover from them. In practical terms, when faced with failure, immediately take these steps: pause, breathe, and step back from the emotional reaction. Next, analyze what happened without judgment. Identify one or two key lessons. Decide on a specific manageable change to implement next time. Write this down to solidify your commitment. Then return to action with renewed clarity and determination. Repeat this process whenever necessary and watch as your failures gradually become the pillars supporting your success. Ultimately, turning failure into growth is about mastering yourself. It's about cultivating an inner environment where setbacks no longer paralyze you but sharpen you. This mastery requires discipline, patience, and courage. It demands honesty with yourself and a refusal to settle for excuses. But it also offers freedom, the freedom to move forward with confidence regardless of past outcomes. When you embrace failure as a teacher rather than an enemy, you unlock potential that fear and doubt could never reach. This chapter closes with the reminder that every failure carries the seeds of your future triumph. The greatest leaders, innovators, and creators didn't succeed by avoiding failure. They succeeded because they learned from it, adapted, and persisted. The path to extraordinary achievement wins through many setbacks. Your willingness to confront and learn from them will determine how far you go. Choose to see failure as the most honest, unfiltered guide on your journey. It will lead you farther than you ever imagined possible. Chapter 10. Visualize your future with clarity and conviction. The mind is a powerful tool, and its ability to shape reality begins with the images it holds. Visualizing your future with clarity and conviction is not merely daydreaming, it is the foundation upon which purposeful action is built. When your vision is vivid and unwavering, it directs your energy, decisions, and persistence in a way that aligns with your deepest goals. This process demands both precision in what you see and certainty in what you believe, creating a magnetic force that pulls you towards success. Clarity in visualization starts with defining what you want, not in vague or general terms, but with sharp focus. It is easy to say, "I want to be successful," yet this statement alone lacks the detail needed to engage the subconscious mind fully. What does success look like for you? Where are you? What are you doing? Who surrounds you? How do you feel? The clearer you paint this mental picture, the more your mind begins to accept it as possible and even inevitable. This clarity builds a roadmap inside your mind, outlining steps and milestones that guide your journey. Conviction is the fuel that powers this vision. Simply imagining a future without truly believing it can happen creates doubt and hesitation. Conviction demands total commitment to the reality you are creating, even when external circumstances seem to contradict it. This commitment is not born of blind optimism, but of reasoned faith grounded in your strengths, past achievements, and the work you are willing to do. It requires you to dismiss the voices of fear and skepticism that try to sabotage your dreams. Instead, you anchor yourself in the certainty that your vision is worthy and attainable. Visualization is a practice, not a one-time event. Engaging in it daily strengthens your mental muscles and aligns your subconscious with your conscious desires. When you make visualization a habit, it shapes your mindset, enhances your motivation, and sharpens your focus. The repetition also helps overcome limiting beliefs by gradually replacing doubt with confidence. This daily ritual becomes a quiet but powerful rehearsal for the future you want to live. The sensory experience during visualization is critical. The mind responds best when all senses are engaged. When you see the image of your future, include the colors, shapes, and movement. Hear the sounds that surround you, the voices, the music, the ambient noises. Feel the textures under your hands or the warmth of sunlight on your skin. Smell the scents that might be present, and even taste the air or food connected to that moment. This vivid sensory engagement deepens the experience and makes the vision more tangible. It bridges the gap between imagination and reality, making your goals feel real and urgent. Visualization is not just about positive outcomes, it also prepares you for challenges. Imagine not only your success but the obstacles you might face and how you will respond. See yourself handling setbacks with calm and determination. This mental rehearsal builds resilience and problem-solving skills before difficulties arise. It prevents surprise and panic, replacing them with readiness and confidence. This balanced approach keeps your vision grounded and adaptable. The connection between visualization and action is inseparable. Visualization alone cannot bring results unless followed by consistent effort. The clarity and conviction you build through mental imagery must translate into tangible steps. Your vision becomes the compass that directs your daily priorities and decisions. When choices arise, your clear mental picture helps you discern what aligns with your goals and what distracts you. This alignment creates efficiency and momentum, reducing wasted time and energy. Doubt often creeps in as a natural response to ambition. The mind questions the feasibility of your vision, especially when it challenges old beliefs or comfort zones. To maintain clarity and conviction, it is essential to recognize these doubts without giving them power. Challenge them by recalling evidence of your abilities and progress. Replace "I can't" with "I am learning" or "I am capable." This honest self-talk reinforces your commitment and prevents doubts from derailing your focus. Creating a vision board or written description can support your mental visualization. These tangible reminders serve as anchors throughout the day. When life's distractions pull you away from your goals, these visual cues reconnect you with your future. The physical act of creating these tools also helps solidify your vision in your mind, making it more concrete and emotionally charged. Mindfulness enhances visualization by helping you stay present and focused during the practice. When your mind wanders or becomes cluttered, gently bring your attention back to your clear mental image. Avoid forcing it. Instead, cultivate patience and persistence. The ability to concentrate on your vision without distraction strengthens your mental discipline and deepens your connection to your goals. It is also important to remain flexible and open to growth. Your vision can and should evolve as you learn more about yourself and your path. Revisiting and refining your future image keeps it realistic and inspiring. This ongoing adjustment does not weaken your conviction, it strengthens it by ensuring your goals remain aligned with your true purpose and changing circumstances. Visualizing your future cultivates hope, a vital element for perseverance. Hope is not passive wishing, it is active anticipation grounded in belief and preparation. It sustains motivation through hardships and fuels the courage to continue when progress stalls. When hope is paired with clarity and conviction, it becomes a formidable force that carries you beyond limits you once thought insurmountable. Visualizing with purpose also teaches patience. Progress rarely happens overnight, and your vision might seem distant or unattainable at times. Holding a clear and compelling picture helps you endure these periods without losing sight of what you are working toward. It reminds you that every small action contributes to a larger picture, reinforcing your commitment to keep moving forward despite delays or difficulties. At its core, visualization is a form of self-trust. It is a declaration that you believe in your capacity to create a meaningful future through your choices and efforts. This trust calms anxiety about uncertainty and empowers you to take bold steps. It quiets inner conflict by aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions toward a single purpose. Visualization also connects you to your deeper values and purpose. When your mental image reflects not only external achievements, but also how you want to feel and contribute, it creates a richer motivation. Success defined solely by material gain often feels hollow and fleeting, but a vision infused with meaning and connection drives sustained effort and satisfaction. It grounds you in why your goals matter beyond surface-level rewards. In the moments of visualization, you practice embodying the person you aspire to become. This embodiment influences your behavior, posture, and mindset throughout the day. You start to carry yourself with the confidence and focus that your future self exhibits. This subtle shift has a ripple effect, shaping how others perceive you and opening doors you once thought closed. Ultimately, visualizing your future with clarity and conviction transforms possibility into probability. It moves your goals from distant dreams to concrete realities waiting to be built. The discipline to focus clearly and believe fully creates a steady momentum that carries you forward, even when challenges arise. This practice is a daily reminder that your future is not left to chance. It is designed by the strength and clarity of your mind. To harness this power, create a consistent routine for visualization. Find a quiet place where you can focus without interruption. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, settling into the present moment. Then bring your vision to life with detail and emotion. Feel the excitement, peace, or pride associated with your success. Notice the actions you take and the people you interact with. Return to this scene regularly, refreshing and deepening it. By making visualization a disciplined practice rooted in clarity and conviction, you cultivate a mental environment ripe for growth and achievement. This environment shapes how you see yourself, the choices you make, and the energy you bring to your daily life. Your future becomes a well-defined goal, a magnetic force pulling you steadily onward. The path toward your highest potential opens before you, illuminated by the clear light of your focused mind. Chapter 11. Develop habits that strengthen your mental resilience. Building mental resilience is a process that requires deliberate and consistent effort. It isn't a trait people are simply born with. Rather, it is cultivated through the habits we practice daily. These habits create a sturdy framework within the mind, enabling us to withstand stress, recover from setbacks, and continue moving forward with clarity and purpose. Developing these habits means creating a mindset that embraces challenges, nurtures adaptability, and fosters emotional strength over time. One of the most effective ways to strengthen mental resilience is by establishing routines that support mental clarity and emotional regulation. When life becomes overwhelming, having consistent practices offers a sense of control and stability. These routines might include meditation, journaling, or focused breathing exercises. Such activities train the brain to pause, observe, and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively to stress. This controlled response gradually rewires the mind to approach difficulties with calmness and insight. Physical health also plays a critical role in mental resilience. A body that is well nourished and rested provides the energy and stability the mind needs to process challenges effectively. Simple habits such as regular exercise, balanced nutrition, and adequate sleep create a foundation that supports mental endurance. When the body is cared for, the mind can sustain longer periods of focus and emotional balance, making it easier to navigate tough circumstances without becoming overwhelmed. Another vital habit is cultivating a growth mindset. This means viewing obstacles not as insurmountable barriers, but as opportunities for learning and development. When you practice this perspective, setbacks become feedback rather than failures. Embracing this mindset takes conscious effort. It involves recognizing when negative thoughts arise and deliberately reframing them into constructive reflections. Over time, this habit reshapes how you interpret and react to life's challenges, turning stress into fuel for progress. Resilient individuals also tend to maintain social connections that offer support and perspective. Habits that encourage reaching out to others, sharing struggles, and accepting help strengthen emotional resources. These connections remind us that we are not alone, reducing feelings of isolation during difficult times. Regularly investing time and energy into relationships enriches your mental landscape with empathy, encouragement, and mutual strength, all of which bolster resilience. Practicing self-compassion is another essential habit that fosters mental resilience. It involves treating yourself with kindness and understanding when things do not go as planned. Many people default to self-criticism, which can drain motivation and deepen stress. Learning to acknowledge your efforts and accept imperfections creates an internal environment that supports recovery and growth. Self-compassion reduces the weight of failure and setbacks, allowing you to regain confidence and keep moving forward. Setting realistic and manageable goals also builds resilience by providing a clear sense of direction and achievement. Large ambitions can sometimes feel overwhelming, which undermines motivation. Breaking these goals into smaller, actionable steps makes progress visible and attainable. Each small success builds momentum and reinforces your belief in your capacity to overcome challenges. This cycle of achievement nurtures resilience by demonstrating that obstacles can be managed incrementally. Mental resilience grows stronger when you cultivate adaptability. This means developing the habit of staying flexible in your thoughts and plans. Life rarely unfolds exactly as expected, and those who can adjust without frustration or despair are better equipped to persevere. This flexibility involves being open to new solutions, willing to pivot strategies, and accepting change as a natural part of growth. Practicing adaptability daily prepares your mind to handle uncertainty with grace and resolve. Another crucial habit is learning to manage your inner dialogue. The way you talk to yourself influences how you experience stress and challenge. Negative self-talk can amplify anxiety and diminish your capacity to cope. Cultivating positive, encouraging, and realistic self-talk creates an internal environment that supports resilience. This habit requires awareness and effort, as you must catch negative patterns and consciously replace them with empowering statements. Over time, this internal shift enhances your ability to stay calm and focused under pressure. Resilience is also built through reflection. Regularly taking time to evaluate your experiences, both successes and setbacks, develops deeper self-awareness. This reflection allows you to identify patterns, understand triggers, and recognize areas for improvement. Writing in a journal or discussing your thoughts with a trusted confidant helps organize your feelings and thoughts, turning emotional experiences into lessons rather than burdens. This habit fosters a continuous cycle of learning and growth that strengthens your mental resolve. Developing patience is integral to resilience. Progress and healing take time, and rushing through difficulties often leads to frustration. Training yourself to tolerate discomfort and uncertainty without immediate resolution builds endurance. This habit encourages a longer-term perspective, reminding you that setbacks are temporary and part of a broader journey. When patience is practiced consistently, it softens the blow of challenges and cultivates a calm persistence that sustains you through hard times. Maintaining focus on what you can control is another habit that enhances resilience. Much of life's stress arises from trying to manage factors beyond your influence. By consciously directing your energy toward areas within your control, your actions, reactions, and attitude, you conserve mental resources and avoid unnecessary frustration. This focus increases effectiveness and empowers you to respond constructively rather than feeling overwhelmed. Practicing this habit daily anchors you in reality and promotes a sense of agency. Incorporating moments of joy and relaxation into your routine also contributes to mental strength. Resilience is not about constant struggle, but about balance. Taking time to engage in activities that bring pleasure, laughter, or peace replenishes emotional reserves. These moments provide relief from stress and remind you of the positive aspects of life, which sustain motivation and hope. Making space for enjoyment supports a resilient mindset by nurturing your whole self. An often overlooked habit is embracing vulnerability as part of resilience. Allowing yourself to be honest about fears and uncertainties does not weaken you. Instead, it builds genuine strength. Vulnerability fosters authenticity and deepens connections with others who can support you. By acknowledging your limits openly, you create room for growth and healing. This practice encourages courage and honesty, qualities that are essential for enduring challenges. Finally, cultivating a sense of purpose grounds resilience in meaning. When your daily actions connect to something larger than yourself, you gain motivation and clarity even in difficult moments. This connection fuels persistence and reduces the impact of setbacks by framing them within a bigger picture. Habits that reinforce your purpose, whether through reflection, goal setting, or service to others, keep your resilience anchored in what matters most to you. In summary, mental resilience is the outcome of daily choices and habits that nurture strength, flexibility, and optimism. By incorporating routines that calm the mind, nourish the body, and develop a positive mindset, you create a resilient foundation. This foundation supports you through adversity and empowers you to rise with greater wisdom and confidence after each challenge. The journey to resilience is ongoing, but with each habit cultivated, you become more prepared to meet life's uncertainties with courage and grace. Chapter 12. Take full responsibility for your thoughts and actions. Taking full responsibility for your thoughts and actions is a transformative step that fundamentally changes how you experience life. It is not just about admitting mistakes or owning your decisions. It is about recognizing that your inner world, the thoughts you entertain, and the choices you make, shapes your reality. When you embrace this level of responsibility, you reclaim your power to create the life you desire instead of feeling like a passive passenger to circumstances beyond your control. This approach requires a deep awareness that every feeling, reaction, and behavior begins with your thoughts. These mental patterns influence your perception of events and your subsequent responses. By becoming conscious of this connection, you understand that controlling your thoughts is the starting point for shaping your actions. Rather than blaming external factors for your mood or decisions, you acknowledge the role your mind plays. This shift fosters accountability, which is essential for genuine growth. Owning your thoughts means no longer allowing negative self-talk or limiting beliefs to dictate how you feel or act. It involves catching those automatic mental patterns that undermine confidence and questioning their truth. When you actively challenge these thoughts, you create space for more constructive perspectives that encourage proactive behavior. This mental discipline strengthens your ability to steer your mind towards possibilities rather than obstacles, cultivating a mindset that supports progress. Accountability extends beyond internal thought processes to the decisions you make each day. Taking responsibility for your actions means recognizing that your choices, regardless of external pressures, define your path. This realization can be empowering because it removes the victim mentality and replaces it with ownership. When you admit that you are the architect of your actions, you also acknowledge that change is within your control. This understanding motivates deliberate, thoughtful decision-making aligned with your values and goals. It's important to recognize that responsibility doesn't mean perfection or never making mistakes. Rather, it means accepting the consequences of your actions and learning from them without deflecting blame. This mindset encourages honest self-reflection and humility, which are critical for continuous improvement. By taking responsibility for errors, you gain insights that guide better choices moving forward, transforming setbacks into valuable lessons. One practical way to cultivate this habit is by regularly assessing your responses to challenging situations. Instead of reacting impulsively or defensively, pause and ask yourself what role your thoughts played in how you handled the moment. Were your assumptions accurate? Did fear or doubt influence your decision? This self-inquiry builds awareness and gradually rewires your mental habits to foster accountability. Another key aspect of full responsibility involves embracing your freedom to choose your reactions. Life will inevitably present difficulties and disappointments, but how you respond remains your decision. This freedom is a cornerstone of personal empowerment. Choosing calm over anger, patience over frustration, or optimism over despair strengthens your mental resilience and shapes healthier outcomes. Practicing this choice repeatedly trains your mind to default to constructive responses. Taking responsibility also means being truthful with yourself. It's easy to hide behind excuses or justify harmful patterns, but honesty is necessary for meaningful change. When you commit to transparency with your thoughts and actions, you open the door to self-improvement. This truthfulness nurtures integrity, aligning your behavior with your authentic self and values. Living authentically fosters inner peace and confidence. This commitment extends to all areas of life, relationships, work, health, and personal growth. When you stop blaming others or circumstances for your situation, you free yourself from frustration and helplessness. Instead, you focus on what you can influence and take concrete steps toward improvement. This proactive stance creates momentum and reinforces your sense of agency, transforming challenges into opportunities for empowerment. Being responsible also encourages you to set clear boundaries and communicate your needs effectively. When you own your feelings and expectations, you prevent misunderstandings and resentment. This clarity improves relationships by fostering mutual respect and accountability. It also models healthy behavior for those around you, encouraging a culture of responsibility and openness. Moreover, taking full responsibility enhances your ability to forgive, not only others but yourself. When you acknowledge your part in conflicts or mistakes, you reduce bitterness and defensiveness. This understanding allows for compassion and healing, which are essential for emotional well-being. Forgiveness becomes a conscious choice rooted in accountability rather than avoidance or denial. This mindset also pushes you to take initiative rather than wait for circumstances to change. When you accept that you are responsible for your happiness and success, you become more motivated to set goals and pursue them actively. This proactive behavior increases confidence and builds resilience, as you rely on your efforts rather than external validation. Cultivating responsibility requires patience and persistence. Old habits of blame or passivity may resist change, but consistent effort gradually rewires your brain. Celebrate small victories in owning your thoughts and choices, recognizing that this is a skill developed over time. Each moment you choose accountability strengthens your inner foundation and enhances your ability to face life with courage. In this journey, it's helpful to surround yourself with people who support your growth. Accountability partners, mentors, or friends who encourage honest reflection and responsible behavior can provide valuable feedback and motivation. Their presence reminds you that taking responsibility is not a burden but a path toward freedom and self-mastery. Practicing responsibility also involves learning to manage your environment consciously. You recognize how external influences, media, conversations, habits affect your thoughts and actions. By choosing what to expose yourself to, you create conditions that support positive thinking and productive behaviors. This intentional curation reinforces your control over your mental and emotional state. Ultimately, taking full responsibility for your thoughts and actions is an act of respect toward yourself. It honors your ability to shape your life and acknowledges your worthiness of growth and happiness. This commitment shifts your focus from what is wrong outside to what can be improved within, cultivating a mindset grounded in empowerment. As you deepen this practice, you'll notice a profound transformation in how you approach challenges. Instead of feeling overwhelmed or defeated, you'll see problems as manageable and within your sphere of influence. This perspective encourages resilience and creativity, enabling you to navigate complexities with confidence. This shift also improves your overall quality of life. When you accept responsibility, you reduce anxiety caused by uncertainty and blame. You gain clarity about your goals and values, making decisions easier and more aligned with your true self. Life becomes less reactive and more intentional, allowing you to live fully and authentically. In summary, embracing full responsibility for your thoughts and actions is a cornerstone of personal empowerment and mental strength. It demands courage, honesty, and persistence, but rewards you with greater control, clarity, and fulfillment. This mindset transforms how you engage with the world, turning obstacles into stepping stones and setbacks into catalysts for growth. By choosing to own your mental and behavioral landscape, you unlock your potential to create a life of purpose, resilience, and joy. Chapter 13. Speak to yourself with honesty, kindness, and courage. The way you speak to yourself is the foundation upon which your entire mindset is built. This internal dialogue shapes your confidence, your resilience, and ultimately the quality of your life. When you cultivate honesty, kindness, and courage in your self-talk, you create a powerful tool that guides you through challenges and nurtures your growth. Learning to engage with yourself in this balanced way takes practice, but it brings profound transformation. Honesty with yourself means facing your reality without distortion or denial. It requires looking inward and acknowledging your true feelings, strengths, and weaknesses without sugarcoating or harsh judgment. This kind of truthfulness is not about self-criticism or blame, but about seeing yourself clearly. When you speak honestly to yourself, you gain clarity on where you stand and what needs attention. It provides a reliable foundation for making thoughtful decisions and taking effective actions. However, honesty alone is not enough if it becomes harsh or unforgiving. That's where kindness comes in. Treating yourself with compassion and understanding softens the impact of difficult truths. It means recognizing that being human involves mistakes and imperfections, and that growth comes from gentle encouragement rather than punishment. Speaking kindly to yourself nurtures your emotional well-being and helps you stay motivated even when progress feels slow or setbacks occur. Courage in self-talk is about confronting fears and doubts without retreating or masking them. It empowers you to challenge limiting beliefs and negative patterns that hold you back. This bravery fuels your willingness to take risks and face uncertainty because you have a steady inner voice reminding you that you are capable and worthy. Courageous self-talk moves you forward, helping you to persevere when obstacles appear and to maintain hope when outcomes are unclear. Bringing these three elements together, honesty, kindness, and courage, creates a balanced internal dialogue that supports realistic self-awareness and hopeful action. It enables you to navigate your inner world with integrity and resilience. This balanced voice is like a wise friend who tells you the truth, but also believes in your potential and pushes you to grow. To develop this skill, start by paying close attention to how you speak to yourself throughout the day. Notice the tone and content of your thoughts. Are they harsh, dismissive, or overly negative? Do you minimize your achievements or exaggerate your faults? Awareness is the first step toward change. Once you identify unhelpful patterns, gently redirect your thoughts toward more honest, kind, and courageous expressions. Practice can include deliberately reframing negative self-statements. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, "I always fail," replace it with, "I have faced challenges before and learned from them. I can improve with effort." This reframing acknowledges reality while offering encouragement and hope. Over time, this habit rewires your brain to default to a more constructive inner voice. Journaling is a powerful tool to cultivate this practice. Writing down your thoughts gives you space to explore your feelings honestly. Then you can respond on paper with kindness and courage, as if you were advising a close friend. This exercise strengthens your ability to regulate your internal dialogue and reinforces positive mental habits. Another important aspect is to accept vulnerability as part of honest self-communication. It's okay to admit fears, doubts, or confusion. Rather than ignoring or suppressing these emotions, acknowledging them allows you to process and move through them. Courageous self-talk doesn't eliminate fear but meets it with determination and resolve. Self-kindness also involves recognizing your efforts and progress, no matter how small. Celebrating incremental growth helps maintain motivation and builds confidence. When you honor your commitment to change, you create a positive feedback loop that encourages further development. In moments of setback or failure, this compassionate voice prevents discouragement from spiraling into self-defeat. Instead of harsh self-recrimination, you remind yourself that mistakes are part of learning and growth. This perspective fosters resilience and the willingness to keep trying despite difficulties. Balancing honesty and kindness ensures that self-talk doesn't become either overly permissive or overly critical. Without honesty, you risk ignoring problems that need attention. Without kindness, you risk damaging your self-esteem and willpower. When these qualities work together, they create a stable, nurturing environment for your inner dialogue. Courageous self-talk often means challenging deeply held negative beliefs. These beliefs may have developed over years and can feel deeply ingrained. Yet, by consciously choosing to speak to yourself differently, you gradually weaken their power. Affirming your strengths, reminding yourself of past successes, and envisioning your capacity for growth build a mental foundation that resists defeat. It's essential to personalize this internal dialogue so it resonates with you. The words and tone should feel authentic, reflecting your unique experiences and values. This authenticity makes your self-talk more believable and effective in guiding your actions and emotions. Engaging in this practice daily strengthens your mental and emotional resilience. Over time, you become less vulnerable to external criticism or setbacks because your internal support system grows stronger. You develop a stable sense of self that is rooted in reality, compassion, and strength. This internal dialogue shapes how you approach relationships as well. When you speak kindly and honestly to yourself, you set a standard for how others should treat you. It encourages healthier boundaries and more authentic connections because you respect and value yourself deeply. Ultimately, this practice is a lifelong journey. Your inner voice may fluctuate with circumstances, but with persistence, you can cultivate a dependable source of support within. This internal ally helps you navigate uncertainty, embrace challenges, and celebrate successes with grace. Speaking to yourself with honesty, kindness, and courage transforms your mindset from one of limitation to one of possibility. It invites you to engage fully with life's complexities, embracing both your vulnerabilities and strengths. This balanced dialogue becomes a powerful foundation for confidence, peace, and sustained growth. As you continue to nurture this internal conversation, you'll notice a profound shift in how you experience yourself and the world. Challenges become opportunities for learning rather than threats. Your self-worth is no longer tied to external validation but grounded in genuine self-respect. This change unlocks greater freedom to pursue your goals and live authentically. By committing to speak to yourself this way, you empower your mind to support you unconditionally. This inner alliance fosters a resilient spirit capable of facing life's ups and downs with grace and determination. You create a mental environment that promotes well-being and fuels ongoing transformation. Every day presents a chance to choose how you engage with your inner world. With honesty, kindness, and courage guiding your self-talk, you turn this choice into a source of strength. This practice shapes the narrative of your life, allowing you to write a story of empowerment, growth, and fulfillment. Chapter 14. Focus only on what you can control today. There is a profound freedom that comes from concentrating your energy solely on what lies within your control. When you fixate on things beyond your influence, it drains your mental resources and breeds frustration. Yet when you direct your attention to what you can manage right now, you unlock the power to create meaningful change, no matter how small the step might be. This approach is a cornerstone of resilience, peace, and effective living. It begins with recognizing that much of life unfolds beyond your command. External events, other people's choices, or even past circumstances cannot be reshaped by your immediate will. Resisting this fact only leads to wasted energy and a sense of helplessness. Acceptance of this reality is not resignation. Rather, it is the first step toward clarity and focus. You redirect your efforts toward what actually responds to your input. This means shifting your gaze away from worries about the future or regrets about the past and centering on the actions available today. What you can do right now, how you respond, what decisions you make, the attitude you choose, these are within your grasp. By honing in on this, you engage your personal power rather than being caught in the tides of uncertainty. This practice helps to reduce anxiety and overwhelm. Often we feel burdened by the sheer number of things vying for our attention, many of which we cannot change. When you narrow your focus, you simplify your mental landscape. This clarity allows you to be more effective, more intentional, and more present in your actions. A practical way to implement this is to start each day by identifying one or two specific things you can control. This could be how you manage your time, what you choose to eat, the quality of your interactions, or the effort you put into a project. These small anchors ground you in the present and provide a sense of accomplishment as you move through your day. When challenges arise, remind yourself to step back and ask, what part of this situation can I influence? Even in the most difficult circumstances, there is always some element you can manage: your response, your mindset, or your next step. Focusing on these elements transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth and agency. This mindset also fosters patience and tolerance. Understanding that you cannot control every outcome reduces frustration with things outside your reach. Instead of fighting against uncontrollable forces, you conserve your energy for constructive action. This creates mental calm and resilience that can weather setbacks. It is important to cultivate awareness of your thoughts and feelings in this process. Notice when your mind drifts into worries about what you cannot control. Gently bring your attention back to your immediate sphere of influence. This repeated practice strengthens your ability to stay grounded and focused. Recognizing your limits is empowering, not limiting. It clarifies where your responsibility lies and helps you avoid unnecessary blame or self-criticism. When you take ownership only of what is truly yours to manage, you build a sustainable sense of accountability that supports steady progress. This focus also encourages better decision-making. When you center on actionable steps, you move from vague concern to concrete plans. This shift builds momentum, as each small success feeds into the next. Gradually, these steps accumulate into significant forward movement. Avoiding distractions and comparisons plays a role here as well. When you stop worrying about how others are doing or what external circumstances demand, you free your mind to prioritize what matters most to you today. This clarity sharpens your purpose and aligns your efforts with your values. Sometimes focusing on what you can control means letting go of attachment to specific outcomes. It's about committing to the process rather than the result. By doing so, you reduce fear of failure and open yourself to learning and adaptation. This flexibility is a key ingredient in sustained growth and fulfillment. This approach is especially valuable in times of uncertainty or crisis. When everything feels unpredictable, the one stable ground you have is your own actions and choices. Clinging to this control anchors you and prevents despair. It empowers you to find calm amidst chaos. Daily reflection is a helpful tool in strengthening this habit. At the end of each day, consider what you controlled well and where you allowed distractions to take over. Celebrate your successes and gently adjust your focus for the next day. This ongoing practice deepens your mastery of your mental environment. Creating boundaries supports this focus too. Setting limits on exposure to news, social media, or negative influences helps maintain your mental clarity. Protecting your inner space allows you to dedicate your attention to what you can genuinely affect. In relationships, focusing on what you can control means managing your communication, attitudes, and boundaries. You cannot change others, but you can choose how to engage with them. This perspective reduces frustration and improves connection because you operate from a place of authenticity and responsibility. Physical well-being is another area ripe for this focus. Your daily habits, nutrition, exercise, rest, are under your control. Prioritizing these elements strengthens your body and mind, enabling you to face challenges with greater vitality. When setbacks occur, this mindset guides you to look for the next step rather than dwell on what went wrong. It trains you to respond with action and learning instead of stagnation. Each moment becomes an opportunity to exercise your agency. This daily focus also nurtures gratitude. By appreciating what you can influence and the progress you make, you cultivate a positive outlook. Gratitude shifts your attention from scarcity to abundance, fueling motivation and contentment. As you continue to practice focusing on what you can control, you'll notice a profound shift in your experience of life. Stress diminishes, your energy stabilizes, and your actions become more purposeful. This mental discipline forms the backbone of a resilient and empowered mindset. Choosing where to place your attention is a powerful decision. It defines your experience and your potential. When you invest in controlling what is within your reach, you build a foundation of strength and peace that supports all areas of your life. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but persistence matters. Each moment spent realigning your focus is a step toward greater mastery of your mind and your world. Over time, this habit becomes second nature, shaping your life in meaningful and lasting ways. You gain the freedom to live fully in the present, unburdened by what lies beyond your grasp. This freedom is not passive acceptance, but an active choice to engage with life where you have influence. It creates a resilient, centered self that navigates complexity with confidence. In the end, focusing only on what you can control today is a practice in empowerment. It invites you to own your power and release what drains it. This mindset opens the door to steady growth, deeper peace, and a life shaped by intentional, meaningful action. Chapter 15. Commit to becoming your best self every day. Choosing to commit to becoming your best self every day is not a goal you reach once and then forget. It is a lifelong dedication, a continuous journey of growth that requires intention, effort, and self-awareness. This commitment transcends fleeting motivation. It demands discipline and a willingness to embrace discomfort, knowing that each step forward shapes who you become. Every morning presents a fresh opportunity to renew this commitment. It's in the small decisions, how you speak to yourself, how you approach challenges, how you treat others, that you lay the foundation for progress. This is not about perfection, but about consistent effort. It means showing up for yourself, even on days when enthusiasm feels distant or obstacles seem overwhelming. To become your best self, you must first know who that self is. This involves deep reflection on your values, passions, and strengths. What qualities do you want to cultivate? What kind of person do you aspire to be? Clarifying these answers guides your daily choices and aligns your actions with your inner vision. This process is deeply personal and unique. It resists comparison or competition because it focuses on your own path. Progress looks different for everyone. Sometimes growth appears as leaps, other times as quiet, steady steps. The key is to honor your pace and recognize that every effort contributes to your evolution. Commitment to your best self demands embracing change. It asks you to step beyond comfort zones and confront old habits that no longer serve you. This might involve letting go of limiting beliefs or unhealthy patterns. Growth requires courage to face uncertainty and to persist through setbacks without losing sight of your purpose. Accountability plays a crucial role in sustaining this dedication. Surround yourself with reminders of your goals, whether through journaling, affirmations, or support from others who encourage your progress. External accountability can reinforce your internal drive, helping you stay focused when distractions arise. Self-compassion is equally essential. The journey to your best self will include missteps and moments of doubt. Treat these as opportunities to learn rather than failures. Recognize that progress is rarely linear and that kindness toward yourself fuels resilience and motivation. Building habits that support your highest potential creates momentum. Daily routines, no matter how small, accumulate into powerful change. This might mean dedicating time for physical health, engaging in mindful practices, seeking knowledge, or nurturing relationships. Each habit aligns you more closely with your vision. Mindset shapes the quality of your commitment. Approaching growth with curiosity rather than judgment invites exploration and flexibility. When you view challenges as chances to expand rather than threats to your identity, you open the door to lasting transformation. This commitment also involves prioritizing your energy. Learn to say no to distractions or demands that pull you away from your path. Guard your time and attention, investing them in activities that enrich and propel you forward. Protecting your boundaries strengthens your ability to stay true to yourself. Focus on progress over perfection. It's natural to want immediate results, but real growth unfolds gradually. Celebrate small wins and milestones, recognizing their significance in your broader journey. This practice fosters positivity and sustains motivation through inevitable plateaus. Continually seeking feedback enhances your development. Be open to constructive input and willing to adjust course when necessary. This adaptability reflects strength, not weakness. It keeps your commitment dynamic and responsive to your evolving understanding. Commitment to your best self also means honoring your unique rhythm. Rest and recovery are part of growth. Avoid burnout by listening to your body and mind, allowing space for rejuvenation. Balanced progress is sustainable progress. Visualizing the person you want to become strengthens your dedication. Picture your future self with clarity and feel the emotions associated with achieving your goals. This vivid mental image serves as a compass, guiding your daily efforts and reinforcing your motivation. Remember that becoming your best self impacts more than just you. It radiates outward, influencing those around you positively. Your growth contributes to your relationships, community, and even the larger world. This awareness adds deeper meaning to your commitment. In moments of challenge, reconnect with your why. Reflect on the reasons behind your pursuit of growth and how becoming your best self aligns with your deepest desires. This connection revitalizes your drive and helps you overcome temporary obstacles. Becoming your best self requires patience and persistence. It is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be times when progress seems slow or invisible, but trust that your consistent efforts plant seeds for future flourishing. Embrace the journey itself, not just the destination. Each day spent learning, improving, and living intentionally adds richness to your life. This ongoing process creates a resilient identity capable of adapting and thriving amid life's uncertainties. Taking responsibility for your growth means rejecting excuses and embracing ownership of your choices. You hold the power to steer your life, and this awareness empowers you to act decisively and authentically. Your commitment calls for reflection at regular intervals. Assess your progress honestly and thoughtfully. Identify areas where you have grown and those needing attention. Use these insights to recalibrate your approach and maintain alignment with your goals. Cultivate gratitude for the opportunity to grow. Recognizing growth as a privilege rather than a burden shifts your perspective, making the effort more rewarding and meaningful. Stay open to inspiration from various sources. Books, mentors, experiences, and even failures offer valuable lessons that fuel your commitment. Learning continuously enriches your journey and sparks creativity in your growth strategies. Commitment to your best self is ultimately a declaration of hope and faith in yourself and in the future you are shaping. It affirms that no matter your age or past, you have the capacity to evolve and create a fulfilling life. This mindset invites you to live deliberately, with purpose and passion. It moves you from passive existence to active creation, empowering you to write your own story with intention. By dedicating yourself to becoming your best self every day, you forge a path of continual improvement. You build character, resilience, and wisdom that support all aspects of your life. The rewards of this commitment extend beyond tangible achievements. They include inner peace, confidence, and a sense of fulfillment that arise from living authentically and aligned with your true values. Ultimately, this journey enhances your capacity to contribute meaningfully to the world, enriching both your life and the lives of those around you. As you embrace this commitment, remember that every moment is an opportunity. Each choice, each action shapes the person you are becoming. This powerful truth places the future firmly in your hands. The path to your best self may not always be easy, but it is always worthwhile. Stay steadfast, keep moving forward, and trust in your ability to grow into the person you were meant to be.